now. Hi everyone, Yvonne Heath here, founder of Love Your Life to Death and the I Just Showed Up movement. And I'm here with my wonderful, awesome new friend, Nancy Jutton. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Yvonne.
I am so glad that you are here, co-founder of Life Goes On Roadmap with your wonderful husband, Steve. And the irony of all of this is that I preach life is unpredictable, prepare for anything, change is the only constant, and anticipate the glitches. And Nancy and I had some glitches. we had fully, we were going to do a BeLive Facebook broadcast so people could join in, and there were technical difficulties. So we went to plan B, and we're doing a Zoom call. And so we will post this, and people can listen to it anytime. But that's just the way it goes. I mean, that's just life, isn't it?
It sure is. Bend and sway and keep on moving.
Bend, sway, go with the flow. But, you know, it's so interesting because, yes, we have to be flexible. But my mantra and yours also is we can talk about plan and prepare for anything and everything that we can. And that is how we got connected, because I had my 27-year nursing career. I witnessed a lot of excessive suffering that we create for ourselves. And I wrote my book, Love Your Life to Death, and I say to people, we need to have those tough conversations long before we are facing it, not in a crisis. And truly, Nancy, I haven't even let you know how, I am just so happy that we have met, because I want Love Your Life to Death to be a one-stop resource for people. So when I say, you need to plan this, you should do this if you want to be empowered. But I didn't really have the resources to say to people, go here, go here. And truly, one of the greatest things that causes excessive suffering is being ill-prepared financially. I have witnessed so many families fractured beyond repair because they were ill-prepared financially to live well when a bump in the road happened in crisis or at end of life. But I did not have a resource to send people to until now. Now I have you. You have created Life Goes On Roadmap, and I would love to hear, first of all, tell people a little bit about Life Goes On Roadmap and what inspired you and Steve to create this incredible program.
Well, thank you for that wonderful intro, and so good to be here. And, this is actually quite personal. It's, yes, I'm married to a certified financial planner who knows a lot about managing money and helping people make the right decisions so they can do what they want with the rest of their life, whatever stage of life they're in. That's wonderful. But it was an interesting thing last December, in the same week. I mean, you can take one look at me and know that I'm a woman of a certain age. And in the same week.
You're cute as a Biden. Nobody knows how old you are.
Well, anyway, in the same week, one person was served surprise divorce papers after 35 years of marriage and totally sent into a tailspin. Another person, 62 years of age, got the flu, checked into the hospital, and died. And the other person was told that her stage 4 lymphoma was back. Mm-hmm. And it was like, good things happen in threes, but sometimes bad things happen in threes. And yes. I have such a big heart, and these things happened. And I was shell-shocked, and my husband and I are driving around in the car on a road trip, and I'm very sad. And he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, it used to be these kinds of things were happening to other people.
Yes.
Now, in the same week, 3 people that we know that are close to us are facing these kinds of challenges. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that we could be next. Mm-hmm. And so here's my Christmas wish. I would like to know where all of our bank accounts, investment accounts live. I want to know the passwords and the security questions. I want to know how to turn off the power, the gas, and the water in our house if there's some kind of a flood. Yeah. I want to know the names of all the people that we've been doing business with all these years. because it's an interesting thing in marriages that, you know, when one person's a financial advisor, it just makes sense that person takes on more of those things.
Absolutely.
I run a business too, but I don't get into the nitty gritty like he does. And I said, all I want for Christmas is access, power, and control to everything we have and know. Because if you should get hit by a bus tomorrow, I have to drive the rest of the vehicle wherever we're going, and I have to be able to advocate for you if I need to. And right now, my head is in the sand,
like everyone's.
And so I said to him, "That's all I want for Christmas. Forget diamonds and pearls, you know."
Yes, I can do that.
So then what ended up happening is he went online. He said, "There must be a resource online for us to go and get this," and everything was sort of gloom and doom and sad. And he said, "That's not good enough for my wife." And so we kind of collaborated in creating a playful, fun system that helps families get on the same page with regard to all of this information, so that if life serves up a bump in the road, it's one less thing to worry about. Because what we know is that life is going to happen. It's not an if, but when life happens, wouldn't it be so much better if you could find what you need when you need it, so that whatever lifetime you've spent accumulating assets, and you know, you can go get it. And I want to share one other little thing that happened last year, which was like a father knows best situation, which I'm showing my age again. But we got this telephone call from the utility company. They said it was a courtesy call, that they were going to cut off the electricity unless we paid 6 months of utility bills that were apparently unpaid. And I knew that couldn't be true because we were so on it. It turned out to be a scam, but this is the part that made me so mad. Is I got on the phone with the utility company. I said, "I'm an owner of this home that we've had for all these years, and I want to inquire if our account is in good standing." And the person at the utility company said, "I'm sorry, I'm not able to speak with you because your name is not on the bill." And I thought, this is madness.
Yes.
Everyone who owns a home with someone, whether it's a spouse, a domestic partner, a sister, a brother, who cares who it is, both people's names need to be on those utility statements, because you don't want to keep on paying bills that are no longer yours to pay. If that's not, you want to be able to manage your life. And so you bet your bottom dollar we were making sure every single person's name was on those utility bills, because empowerment is what you need when life is hitting the fan. And if you are making phone calls and people are saying, "I'm sorry, you're not authorized to do that,"
crazy.
It's like, that is the last thing you want to hear when the rubber meets the road. So those are some personal things that happened that had us really believe that for today's digital age, there needs to be a happy, upbeat, and playful and comprehensive way to get ahead of life before life happens. Because when you do, you will have power, access, and control when the moments matter the most. And those moments are coming. So better to get ahead of them than to be in behind them, right?
And Nancy, that is just so true. And I'm so glad you witnessed something that was difficult and you had an aha moment and created something positive from it. The truth of the matter is, life happens, and sometimes people get ill and we all die. I know people hate to hear that. I don't want to talk about that. Yes, I understand, but wouldn't it be so wise to talk about it before you are facing it, and all those emotions and grief are also consuming you? I don't want to figure all this stuff out when I'm grieving. But
no, and it's an interesting thing. When we started sharing with folks that we had created this system, we created a special report that would allow people to get a jump start on getting organized. And what was so surprising is how many hundreds of women have been chiming in on Facebook saying, "My husband got a stroke at 48 and always did everything. And when he was no longer able to speak, I had to do everything for him, and we had no way to get at whatever it was that he was managing."
Awful.
And then someone else said her daughter had a stroke, and she had 3 kids, and she hadn't made plans around who was going to take care of her children, et cetera, et cetera. And so the mother, whilst her heart is breaking for the loss of function that her daughter is experiencing,
Oh,
having to take on looking after these little kids and having to negotiate the healthcare system because nobody else could give a voice to the young girl's needs. So, and then this was the most compelling one. This one really got me. They had a Brady Bunch family. This woman and a man, they each had 3 kids. They were living the life uncommon. She was a real estate agent. He was a businessman. Well, one day, she writes, she gets a phone call from Life Flight, and there's apparently a terrible automobile accident, and he's been flighted to Las Vegas, and it's very serious. Turns out he was paralyzed from the neck down, and life as they knew it was completely different. But what made it even worse is maybe 3 weeks after, an IRS agent comes to her house to alert her that her husband had failed to pay his business taxes for 2 years. And while she's dealing with a dramatic and dire change in circumstances in her family, she's also scared to death about how she's going to manage this additional tax liability that was a secret. And that's, I think, another important piece of this, which is a little hard to talk about, is that not all families are completely forthcoming about all their bank accounts, all their obligations, whether or not they have a drinking problem, whether or not they've forgotten to pay their taxes. Now, you can keep your head in the sand and say, we're living the life uncommon, I'm not going to worry about it.
yeah.
But what if you're 72 years old and you find out that whatever your retirement was supposed to be was withered away by a gambling debt, or better to face the fear early on when you have a runway to earn more money and take care of the rest of your life than to blithely think that everything's fine, because sometimes everything's fine until it's not.
That's right. And we can either empower ourselves, keep our heads in the sand, or we can talk about the elephant
in the room.
It's here. The elephant is in the room. Are these difficult conversations? Yes, they are. And of course, nobody wants to have them. But here's the thing. If there's nothing to hide, it should just be inconvenient because we haven't done it. It shouldn't be horrible. And once again, as you know, I share 7 takeaways for living well, and takeaway number 5, and these are imperative. Structure your life in such a way that you are self-reliant, and so are the people surrounding you. To have one person, we don't have value because people, they depend on me, they could never function without me. Well, why would we do that to each other? I think I know one of the greatest gifts we can give each other is the gift of self-reliance, and us being self-reliant. Talking about this should not be, this is awful, I don't want to talk about it. It's just reality. This is reality.
I so agree. And another woman wrote the other day, she says, I've been married to my husband for 28 years. She says he's incredibly secretive about the bills and the finances. Over time, I insisted that I get my own account so that I can manage whatever I have. But she says, if something were to happen to him, whatever secrets he's been keeping, I won't have any way to unlock them. And who knows what the consequence will be. So listen, these are some dire things that happen. But can I go for the flip side?
Go for it. Yes.
So the flip side is, what if you're just a really nice couple that just forgot to talk about this?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with us. They said, listen, we're just a nice couple. We've been married for 31 years. We have a beautiful 21-year-old son. We're happy, healthy. We're doing wonderful things. I just want to know. So we basically chose a rainy day in October, and we said, let's just make a day of it. And we went through the game.
There's the game. I love it.
The game. We we played Beat the Clock to move through 16 important sections of our life.
Yeah.
We planned some dashboard dining so that we could take breaks and be fueled for the road ahead.
Yep.
We tossed the ball and did dance parties in between sections. And we didn't play military and insurance. I mean, when you get stuck in the insurance section, I think you're in the tundra and that you're never going to see green green trees and mountains. But when you get through the insurance section, then you're all of a sudden into the Social Security section or whatever. But here's the cool thing. It was so fun and enlightening to look back on a whole lifetime together and remember, like for example, when we're going through the insurance section, and I went out to the car to get my insurance card, and I realized that it was out of date. And I said, we better get online and update our insurance card, because if I'm stuck on the car, if I get pulled over by the right arm of the law, and he wants to see my insurance and it's not current, I'm going to be paying hundreds of dollars. So then there was the Social Security exercise, which is, sign up for a Social Security account, mysocialsecurity.gov, and find it. That's what we have in the United States. And you can find out how much you've earned over a lifetime. Wow. And you can remember the jobs that you had. And I actually happen to have met my husband at a job, and that's how we met. Yeah. And you see your whole earnings capacity, and you find out how much you're going to be welcoming in retirement. So then you go, oh, we're going to do okay, but how much better could we do if we made some different adjustments in the way we allocate our funds going forward, because there's other adventures we want to take. So as we were going through this as a couple, like when it came to the bank account piece, I said to him, these really are all of my bank accounts. I'm holding nothing back.
Right.
And then I said, are you coming clean and telling me about all of yours? And he said, this is all we have. And it was like, okay. I mean, there was no secret there. And it was like, oh, let's look at that. So it was what we realized as we went through this whole journey was that we were really on the right page together. We could decide if we wanted to add additional insurance if it was needed. We could have the conversation, do we want to accelerate our path to retirement? We could ask about what kind of epic adventures we want to have. And there was even a conversation about end of life. And this is sort of a funny thing, and I'll tell this story very briefly, but right after our son was born, we went to see an estate planning attorney, like all people do usually when their children are born. And we started bickering in front of the attorney about who was going to get what. And then we had the same, I wish I had a V8 moment. And we said, what do we care? Why are we arguing about this? We're both gone. Let's stop fighting. Right. And that was that. And so, we both know what we want when the time comes, and whether or not extraordinary measures are going to be required. But at least we know, because if some crazy thing happens and he hadn't told me, I don't want to make the wrong decision. He's the love of my life. Yes. And that's that's where we create the excessive suffering, right? By not having these conversations about our finances. And again, here's full transparency. I've had so many aha moments. So I got your program and I was so excited. And I'm very visual. So like your free opt-in download, I had to print it up for the blind spots, because literally I was having one aha moment after the other. And here I am. I want to walk my talk, and I'm more organized than a lot of people, but there are so many holes. And truly, even if you are a wonderful couple and life goes on and everything's fine, at some point, one of you will die, most likely one before the other. So I feel like it's incredibly selfish not to plan your life financially, not to have both partners know how to turn off the valve, how to do how to live without you, honestly. Well, and I agree. And so I've heard you speak before, and you've said something like, does anyone here know anyone where he doesn't know how to make a sandwich and she doesn't know how to find the checkbook? That's right. And I would ask the same question here, is that, do you know anyone, maybe it's a parent or a grandparent, who, when one person or the other passed and left the other behind, the other was just like totally stunned and not knowing what to do on a practical level? On a practical level. And so if you are a child of an older person, and you find it awkward to talk to your parents about this sort of thing, could you make a game out of it? Yes. And could you gift this to your parents and say, hey, listen, this is a gift to you, and we're going to do it too, and let's see how quickly we can speed through the various sections and see what we learn and see what we can share with each other, so that nobody has any unanswered questions, and maybe there's some wonderful memories that can be reignited. And maybe sometimes we've heard from folks that say, maybe one partner's been doing all the bill paying all these years.
Yep.
He's tired of it, and she wants him to take it on, and he's been resistant. And she says, no, this is the line in the sand. I've done it for 26 years. It's your turn. Let me show you what to do and how to do it. It's an act of love and service to make sure he knows what to do, because we know that there's 2,428 sudden deaths every single day, and one of them could be you. It could happen. So what if you took one rainy day in October, and said, let's just get our act together and call it good.
and you know, and that's another thing, and that's the tough love, the elephant in the room. We don't always get a warning of when we're going to die. Not everyone dies of old age, and those aren't doom and gloom things. It's just part of our life. So what can you do? You can empower yourself, and you can empower those you love. You can become self-reliant. And here's the big thing also. I feel like, just like a lot of us, when I say we have to have the talk about end of life long before it arrives and diffuse the fear, with our generations and older people, it's a lot of damage control. A lot of people start running the other way when I say we need to talk about end of life planning, financially, everything, and they just bolt. I'm like, you're why I had a book to write. But isn't this such a, like, when you think about, when you talk about having that day and planning all this, if we had done this all along, we could just update every year or as things change. And that's what I want to teach my children. I want my children to, we have to normalize these conversations. I say to my kids, oh, you know, it's very wise at every age, you do an end of life plan. Are you a registered organ donor? And do your financial planning so that you don't get in the mud like we've done to ourselves, where we've ignored it for decades, which we've done.
Well, so here's another little tidbit that was new information for me. My son is 21 years of age.
Yes.
And in the United States of America, he's no longer a minor.
Right.
And if he were to be in an auto accident or rushed to the hospital for any reason, if he doesn't have a medical power of attorney where he designates us as the people that can look after him, then we have no power to do so.
My goodness.
When I was alerted to that, boy, the paperwork was flying.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have anyone at university that will look after him the way that we will.
Well, it's you. It should be you, right?
But that was sort of an aha. Like, if you have adult children and they're not married or not in a relationship and don't have anyone other than you looking after them, you have a medical power of attorney so that you can advocate for them. Because if you do not, you are disempowered, and that is the last thing you want to hear if somebody's life that you love is hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
So these kinds of things, you think, oh, I'll get around to it. And I will just tell you that every single person, every single family that has gone through this exercise with us to a person has just said, thank you. Thank you so much for giving us a day on the calendar to get this done, and for making it fun. We learned so much. We feel such peace of mind. And now we're going to be planning epic adventures for the rest of our life with one less thing to worry about. And so I feel like this is important, powerful, profound, and personal work. And I believe that the transformations that happen for people are deep and lasting. And I think that it is the greatest gift you can give to those that you care about, to get your act together.
Get your act together 100%. And I've shared this with you, that in 30 years of nursing, 27 years as a nurse and as a student, I cannot count how many families I have met, been around, that were fractured beyond repair because of money, because of being ill-prepared, not having a will, but they're fighting over things. And in fact, that is happening in my family as we speak. And
I'm so sorry.
Years to unravel, years. And the sad, sad thing is that this is preventable.
Yes.
Right? And this is where we truly need to create a culture of change. where we normalize this. And I will tell you right now, I talk about this all the time, Nancy, and I'm guilty, because just as we were chatting, and we're going to visit our son out in Kelowna, British Columbia, which I'm very excited. And he's 24. And I'm thinking, geez, you know, if something, I mean, whatever happened, I don't know where Ty banks. I don't know. I don't believe, we don't have, in Canada, it's called power of attorney for medical or estate. We don't have that paperwork. I said, here I am. I've been talking to people about this for 4 years, and it hadn't occurred to me. Oh my goodness. So again, I am so grateful. And people cannot wait for the day that, you know, today's a good day. I think we should talk about our finances. I know we haven't. You can't wait till you feel like talking about it.
Well, and this is the fun thing about the way we've done this, because, you know, there's a whole lot of shelf help out there that people have bought from the bookstore that's still sitting on the shelf, and they haven't done any of the heavy lifting.
Yes.
And so what we've done is not only have we created the tools, we've got a beautiful system.
I love it.
That includes a guidebook, and the part that is the heart of the system is this beautiful spreadsheet. I'm going to try to see if you can see it.
Yes, I see it. And I've started my spreadsheet. Thank you very much, because
so when you do this, it's like, that's why I think I want to be a weather forecaster, because I want to say, use the rainiest day that your almanac says it's going to be raining in your town. You're not going to be biking. You may not be boating. You may not be walking the dog outside. But what we try to do is make it an event. That's why, you know, go ahead and cook your favorite stew. Go ahead and download some fun music playlists. So when you take a road trip with your family, you've got your videos for the kids in the back, and you've got your playlist up front. Well, choose some music that you love to listen to that's like the soundtrack of your life, and then just move through every section. Because when we did this, we started at 9 o'clock and we finished at 2, and we were drinking champagne and feeling accomplished.
Amazing.
And that is that.
Yeah.
So if you have a very complex life, there may be some additional follow-up required, but you'll be able to manage it. And if you have a very simple life, maybe you'll get done sooner. And if you're competitive, do it with your family and see how fast you can speed through all 16 sections and see what you can learn, and then start a conversation. You know, Bonnie Raitt, let's give them something to talk about. And let's just have some fun with this, because
might as well.
Because
it has to get done. Somebody at some point needs to figure out your financial situation. Why would you leave it to your family when they're grieving or when they're in crisis to try to start cracking codes? That is very selfish. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I agree. And here's something else. You know, it's not only health issues. Sometimes it's fire. And, you know, there's been all these fires in Santa Barbara and fires all across the country. And, you know, I've often said to my husband, you know, if the house burns down, I want the Santa Claus pictures with the kid. And I want, you know, I know where the treasures are in the house. They're all located in one place, and I know where to find them. And if the house was going to burn down, or there was a flood or a natural disaster, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And so if we take the death out of it and say, okay, there's some kind of disaster, fire, flood, hurricane. If you have your important financial documents and access to all of your accounts in one central location, and you know exactly where to get it and grab it and go, you will be grieving the loss of your home. You will be grieving the loss of whatever you built together, but you'll still have access to everything else, and you can rebuild.
But can I interject? Because, and I know you talk about, you have a digital Life Goes On Roadmap digital, because you don't always have the time to get this from your house, because once again, how ironic. Do you know where my husband Jordy is right now? He is part of a provincial team that goes when there's a disaster. He is in Ottawa, Ontario, our nation's capital, where Ottawa was hit with 2 and possibly 3 tornadoes last week. There were over 80 homes, and a couple of people have died, which is devastating. It could have been hundreds, but I send love to those families. But at least 80 homes were demolished to the ground. These families suddenly, and then there are people, they're even going to visit people who live across the street and their home was untouched and their neighbor's home was flattened. Imagine going through that. So
that is devastating. And so since you brought that up, if you are saving all of your passwords on a piece of paper next to your computer, or you have them in the cloud, or whatever you've done, or by all means, do not store them on your computer. We recommend an encrypted thumb drive.
Yes.
Which you can save everything onto an encrypted thumb drive that you have the code and the people who have a need to know have the code, and you can have the password in a central place where you both know where to find it, but you can also put that password in your safety deposit box at the bank, and then you can still carry on with the rest of your life.
Yes.
And so that's a practical thing. Another practical thing is that just like you change the smoke detector in your house every 6 months to prevent a fire, every 6 months make a note to update your information so that it's current.
Yeah, just make it a habit, right?
And then I think the most important thing I want people to do is, if you have been in the dark, can you get into the light and start a conversation with your partner, and not be, just say, listen, I want to do the right thing for you and for me too. And I want us to help each other no matter what happens. And that means we both need to know, or it's not, if it's you and a partner, or if it's you and your girlfriend. You know, one of the interesting things is 7 out of 10 women at some point or another will be responsible for themselves, whether they were married or not.
Right.
And these women need to have a posse of girlfriends that they can count on. And so if you are single, never married, childless, this is really important for you too.
Absolutely.
Because what if something happens? Do you have a girlfriend that can have your back? Do you have a buddy? Because everybody needs somebody to look after them at some level. And I just feel very strongly about this.
And again, those are the things. And as I talk about the I Just Showed Up movement, yes, and I love that you have your bracelet. When you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, just show up.
Yes.
Part of just showing up for people, truly, I feel, is being the very best version of you, so that you can just show up for others, so that you can be there for others. But being the very best version of you, to me, I want to be a wonderful responsible for my own happiness, my own finances, and I want to be a great example to people. So when I'm, doing a keynote, doing a presentation, a workshop, I walk my talk and I say, I have done my end of life plan. I have done this. And again, I'll say, you know what? I'm not perfect. And thanks to my friend Nancy Drutton, she pointed out all this. Now I know I had it done. But, I didn't. It's like you don't know what you don't know. I'm looking through and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we need to be more organized. And I just think of when I have gone through the whole program, how good I am going to feel, and how relieved I am going to feel, and how empowered. And this is what I'm teaching my daughter and my 2 sons. And I'm going to say, listen, you don't have to wait. Just throughout your life, normalize these conversations. Like you said, you said every 6 months. So tax time and in the spring, just, is there anything I need to update? Just make it a habit so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. Maybe the first time you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to take a long time. Well, if it's going to take you a long time, imagine your family having to go through all this.
Well, that's the part of this. That is the part of this that women around the country have reached out to us and told us. They said, you know what? We're saying between 9 and 2 on an upcoming Saturday, could you just designate that one rainy day to get this done? Because there's going to be plenty of rainy days, or maybe super hot days in really hot climates where you just can't go outside. Choose a day where, from 9 to 2, get it all done and just have that completed. Because you know what? Women have written to us and told us that their grief was extended by many years.
Oh.
Because they were still stuck in the mire of what mess was left behind, when they really would have rather been present for what their loss or their feelings were at that time. And so if you think about how much time away from work you will spend hunting down passwords and security questions, talking to utility companies, dealing with investment companies that won't let you in, and it's not only the time that you will spend, but it's the time away from your office that you will not be earning money, or time away from your entrepreneurial venture where you will not be able to make money.
Yes.
What we're talking about here is one day of your life to save hours and hours and hours. If you love your family, if you love yourself, you will do this because it just makes sense.
Well, it's just the right thing to do. And
that's it.
And, you know, the other thing is, I think that we need to forgive ourselves for creating this big mess, because truly we've normalized ignoring end of life planning and financial plan. We've ignored it. We're all, oh, I'm too busy to do that. I'm too busy. Well, what can you do to change that? And see, for me and this program, again, I'm going to go on and on about it because I love the fact you have the digital version, you have the hands-on binder, you have, you know, either people can choose, but it's that accountability also, or a resource, because I know that we could email you or Steve. Like, I'm really in the weeds here. I don't know what to do here. And you're not only smart, you're nice. You are nice.
We are smart and we are nice, but we are more than anything. I mean, so people are probably curious, like, what does she mean by accountability? Well, we do give you the guidebook. We do give you the digital organizer. We explain what to do and how to do it. But then on a designated day in October, we're actually going to do 3 check-in calls live. So wherever you are in the world, you chime in at 9 o'clock and we'll rev you up and tell you what to expect for the first leg of your trip. At noon, you'll call in. You'll share your aha insights, what you learned, things that surprised you. We'll rev you up for the next call. And then you will get on the road and you will do what is necessary. And at 2 o'clock, you will have moved through all of this and we'll have a whole lot to celebrate.
I love it.
So it's super fun.
Yep.
It's very, yes, it takes work. And some people will say it's tedious. It kind of reminded me of when my husband and I drove from San Diego to Seattle when we first were early in our marriage. Mm-hmm. And you know how when you take a road trip, sometimes he's driving and sometimes you're riding shotgun, and then, you know, you take a road stop and then you switch roles. Yep. Well, I was driving through the tundra of Central California during my particular point at the driving, you know, and I'm thinking, why did he get all the beautiful places to drive through? But the best part about it is we got here together. Yes. We saw the tundra. We saw the beauty of the Emerald City here in Seattle, and we did it together. So that's kind of what we're doing here with the roadmap. So what we're trying to do is to get as many families as possible to join with us on October 13th to get this done with us, because we are anticipating rain that day wherever you happen to live.
And you know what? If it's a nice sunny day, let the sun shine in and open the windows. Do it anyways, because see, for me, that accountability works. Like, well, I'm not gonna call in at noon and say, oh, I didn't do anything yet, or so I'm thinking.
Well, and here's the other part that's you know, we're trying to cover all our bases here, which is the way we are in life anyway. But
yes,
trying to get thousands of people to come to one day of destiny on a calendar day is a little bit like herding cats.
Yes, of course.
So the best thing is that not only do we do this live, but all the calls, there's 3 calls, and we record them.
Yeah.
So whether you're able to join us that day or not, you will get the replays of the 3 calls and all the ahas and insights shared with you, so that if that particular day doesn't work for you, take yourself a self-guided tour and just choose a date and just do it the same way. Oh, we're doing it on this day, and at 9 o'clock we're listening to this, and at noon we're listening to that, and at 2 o'clock we're celebrating.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, just like when you take a road trip, some people are speed demoning to get there super fast, and some people take the long and windy route.
Around, yes. Yeah.
And, you know, it's new TV season, you know, for a lot of people, and they can't wait to watch Murphy Brown or Poldark or whatever they're watching on TV.
Oh my goodness, okay.
But what I wanted to say is, what if you gave up a couple of hours on a Tuesday night, and over 3 Tuesday nights, you got this done?
Exactly.
You do it any way you like. We don't care how you get there. What we
Just
care
get
is
there.
you get in the car and you go.
Yeah.
Because you will never regret doing this.
Oh my
But
goodness.
if the rubber meets the road, you just might regret
So
having
grateful.
forgotten to do it.
That's right.
why we say, shelf help doesn't have any value unless you do the heavy lifting. We're totally available to help you with the heavy lifting. And we even have a Facebook group where you can ask questions and we come back and help you. So there's really no reason not to do it other than to say that you've already done it and good on you.
Right, which really is not the norm, to be honest. And again, I know for a lot of people, including myself, it will be a huge undertaking, and that's okay because it's only a huge undertaking once. Once. Then it's just updating. And I promise you, once I get through this, I will be updating. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to change my roadmap, because I feel like that will be such an incredible gift to give to my family, and again to share with my children, and to help them realize how easy it is if you don't leave it for decades. So for the rest of us, we just have to just say, geez, the best time to plant a tree, right? it was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And so when we love each other, we want to do be great for our families. This is one of the greatest gifts. And like I said, I am so grateful because I have talked to people so much about this, and then it's kind of like, well, good luck, talk to your financial planner. To me, Nancy, honestly, this is a gift that I am sharing with people. And I am very excited for October 13th. And I already have it in my head, right? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. You even have a pre-call. Oh, and it's 9 to 2 Pacific. You're out in the West Coast. So for us, it's 9:12 to 5. And I already told my kids, I said, just so you know, from 12 to 5 on October 13th, 2018, I'm going to be doing a webinar. They're like, that's a really long webinar.
Well, so here's the thing. To be clear, they're only 15-minute.
Yes.
They're 15-minute practical, tactical rev-up calls.
Yes.
And then you're off to the races. Yes. So I wanted to say something else to you that you might find interesting. We have 10 financial advisors across the United States and Canada who are actually licensed to use our system with their clients.
Love it.
And one of the big things that we're doing is we're reaching out to financial advisors from coast to coast to invite them to license this for their clients so that they can help their clients get this done. Because we know that if we create an army of financial advisors that are starting this conversation with their clients, we can change a lot of lives. Oh. So yes, we do have the consumer product that you can purchase for a very affordable price. And then we have advisors that are licensing it. So we've only just begun to make our impact.
I'm very excited.
But our system is suitable for today's digital age. It is playful, optimistic, and engaging. It is created with a certified financial planner who knows the details that are essential that users need to know. And it's got that accountability piece makes shelf help really come alive. And we know that if you were to take this journey, that you would get so much value, and we would really love to invite you to do that.
Well, it's not only it's accountability, it's support, but you're helping us through the steps. You're helping us because so you had the spreadsheet, and it was just so funny because I felt like you were speaking right to me because I watched one of your videos with Christy. How do you pronounce her last name?
Amdahl.
Right. So she helped you to create the program, and I looked at the spreadsheet, and it was just it would have been good to have a video camera because I looked at the spreadsheet and I'm thinking, oh, do I know how to operate spreadsheets? And then you had the video with you and Christy. If you're intimidated by spreadsheets, I was like, oh my gosh, is there a hidden camera here? Did she just hear me say that?
You know what's so funny is that listen, I've been running an online business for 16 years, but my dealings with technology have given me more than a run for the money in terms of frustration. Because, not everyone was my son was born, it seemed like he came out of the womb with an iPhone in one hand
yes.
and a game system in the other. It's totally organic to these kids.
Absolutely.
For the rest of us, maybe not so much. So we call it a digital organizer because we don't want people to get intimidated. But it's so easy to use.
It's lovely.
And it's so pretty to fill out. And so I want to say something about this. If you have one of these file folders that has things scribbled like this,
yes,
this is a mistake.
Yeah, I have lots of them.
Because you're crossing out, you're writing over, nobody knows which is current. So with the spreadsheet, with this digital organizer, you type in your information, you save it, and then 3 months from now, if you need to go back in,
yeah,
you open it up, you update what has changed, and you save it. So there's no crossouts, there's no ambiguity. The passwords, the security questions are crystal clear. There's less mystery and more mastery.
Absolutely.
And why do we do instant teleseminar calls? Because most everyone in the world has a phone.
Yes.
And almost everyone in the world can dial it, and they don't have to check for the instruction manual. Yeah. So super easy, very reliable, and we provide replays, and all you have to do is click on them to listen to them, and you're good to go. So even if technology is not your favorite thing, great. Our system is perfect for you.
Yes. Well, and I'm your perfect person to try that, because I remember being in high school and computers came out and we said, computers, oh, I'm too cool for computers. That's just for the geeks. Well, geez, aren't we eating our words? So yeah,
we're channeling our inner geekness.
Oh yes. So for me, I get intimidated, and this is just helpful. I need my hand held. And again, to take that time, that chunk of time, one time, and honestly, it can change your life. It can change your end of life. It can empower your family. And to me, it's non-negotiable. It should not be something that we leave. So is there any last tidbits, anything you want to share with our audience and before we sign off?
I want to ask you if your path has ever been crossed by someone who was disempowered and struggling with taking care of a mess that was left behind. Could you consider that as your wake-up call to choose a date on the calendar to get this done? And if we can be of support to you to make that happen, it would be our pleasure. And number two, there's 2 ways that you can get involved with this. We have a free gift you can download right away, and we have the purchase of our system that you can make as well. And in the links below, we'll indicate the links that you can click on to make your choice. You're probably wondering, what's your investment? Remember all the costs I told you would suffer? Well, our digital system is $97. It's a no-brainer for the kind of peace of mind that you're going to buy when you actually get this done. And you can get the physical sets. Between now and October 13th, you can get the digital and the physical system for $97 when you use the promo code that you'll find on the invitation page.
Oh.
And then the final thing I would say is, because technology is unreliable sometimes, when you make your purchase, which we dearly hope that you will, where there's a field on the order form that says, how did you hear about us? And will you please type in Yvonne Heath in that section, because I want to be able to thank her for bringing an amazing community of people to the awareness of our good work. And I want to be able to serve you to the highest level of my capability. So I've really appreciated the opportunity to have this conversation. And also, since we're posting this video on your Facebook page, and we'll be sharing it in other places, if you have comments, or if you learned something that was new that you're going to take care of, will you post in the comments below? I'm going to make sure my insurance card is valid in my glove compartment. I'm going to make sure that my 21-year-old or older children have signed a durable power of attorney so I can advocate for them on their behalf. I'm going to make sure that both names are on the utility bills so that I've got power and control. I'm committed to being self-reliant. tell us something you're going to do as a result of hearing this empowering conversation, because person to person, we're going to change this conversation and you're going to be part of the revolution. So thank you so much.
Amazing. And Nancy, I have to say one more thing. When we were talking about this and I was learning about it, and I thought, okay, I need to do this. And I'm sure this will cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but you know what? It's just a one-time fee. And I was ready. And then I looked at the cost and I said, it's 97 US. It's $97. I said, honey, you need to buy this right now. Buy this right now before it's like there was a Kia or an IKEA commercial when they got this stuff and they saw the price. She said, start the car. And so they made a mistake. I'm looking. So Nancy, honestly, 97 US it is a gift for people. This is incredible because you.
Well, can I say one more thing? And I don't know how this is going to come across, but we believe this needs to be something that everyone can afford.
And you've done that.
There are so many programs and products out there. When you see the price, you shake your head and you wish that you could.
Yes.
This is priced so that you can. Fewer cups of coffee at the fancy coffee shop over a month, or one less fancy restaurant meal, and you are good to go for the rest of your life. It's not a big deal, but for the win that you get for peace of mind, power, access, and control, I don't know how to put a value on it, but it's worth a whole lot more than what you're going to pay.
Priceless. And I cannot thank you and your husband, Steve, I know I looked at the program and I'm sure you can't even count how many hours you put in with your heart and intelligence and brilliance to create this incredible program. I thank you so much. I believe everyone should have this program, and I'm looking so forward to sharing it with everyone. Everyone's going to hear about this. I'm letting you know. I like to talk, Nancy, and everyone's going to hear about this. So
that just makes me so, so happy, because It's with advocates and champions such as yourself that we will truly raise the bar, change the conversation, and empower thousands, maybe even millions of people to be on the same page and to be in position to lead their lives and complete their lives in a way that feels aligned and good for everybody.
You just cannot lose in this situation, but there's so much to gain. And again, I can't thank you enough for all you've done to create this, for sharing it, for making it affordable for people. Thank you so much, my friend. I have a feeling we will be having many conversations.
Yay. Thank you so much. This has been so great. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.